Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Don't know what this series is going to be called, to say the least, but because it probably won't be a series, it'll probably just be a few videos. You know how everyone talks about, hey, in a deck you should have 4 cards of everything. Well, not everything, but you get my point. Well, I completely disagree. But of course I play casual, so you might want to ignore everything I say. But they push it so hard that a lot of people believe you should even do it for casual. And I'm like, if you have 4 of the cards, you like the card, you want it in your deck, why not put it in there? But if you make your deck too specialized, well, you know when you're going to lose pretty quickly. You know what I mean? You know there's a weakness, and when someone pulls out that deck with that weakness, you're going down. Whereas, which I'm not saying mine isn't specialized, I just don't have 4 of each card. Plenty of these are probably about the same card. But I have a vampire deck that I'm going to show you. Because, now I'm not saying it's good or anything. I'm just saying I made it, and y'all are going to get to see it now. Oh god, I forgot about this. No, too much light now. But I do want more light. Focus. Focus. If anyone complains about my camera, unless you're going to buy me a new one, there's nothing I can do. Child of the Night. It has lifelink, and it's a 2/1. It costs 1 swamp and 1 generic colorless. It was before there was a difference. And oh look, I only have 2 of them. Ooh, breaking that 4 rule. Not that that one's a big deal, I just really like Life Gain, which I try to put that in my deck. Okay, and here's a Demon's Horn. It costs 2, and whenever a player casts a black spell, you may gain 1 life. And in case you couldn't tell, this is a black deck. Well, it has red too, but oh look, 2 of them. This next one I put in mainly for the life gain, because I shouldn't have problems with the rest of it, but, Elixir of Immortality, if it will ever focus enough for you to see it. Na, 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 na. Will you please focus? There we go. It costs 1. You pay 2 and tap it. You gain 5 life. Shuffle Elixir of Immortality into and your graveyard into their owner's library. Woohoo! And, oh yeah, I had 2 Demon Horns. I have 2 of these too. I mean, I'm not saying I don't have repeats in my deck. I don't have 4. I'm sorry, my camera sucks, but, it's better than my old camera. My old camera sucked even more. Will you please freaking focus? Bloodseeker costs swamp and 1. It's a vampire shaman. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose 1 life. See, I'm the type that plays these type of decks, and I have 2 of those. I mean, you can see why I like this deck. You can see the type of player I am. I don't care about power hitters. I want to make you hate me by the end of the game. Not literally, but, That's what my sliver deck's for, though. Vampire Nighthawk. It costs 2 swamps and a 1. Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink. That's my heavy hitter. Not really, but you get my point. Because I love Lifelink. Okay, and then it has Flying and Death Touch. I mean, what's not to like? And I have... Oh, here's the one that breaks the rule for me. There's 3 of them. That's the card with the most that I have in this deck, except for swamps and mountains. Because lands. Sorry about that. It's cold in here, and I am going to cough up a lung. Oh, no! I don't care. It's not that big of a deal. I've had the camera fall over before. Ooh, I really need to charge this. Give me a moment. Nah, I ain't gonna worry about it. If it dies, I'll just refilm this. Or splice stuff, I don't know. Gul'Draz's Assassin, Vampire Assassin. It costs 8 swamp, and it levels up by using a swamp and a 1. The first level, 2 levels just give us ability to play the swamp, tap, target creature gets -2 until end of turn, and it becomes a 2/2. Levels 4 and up, it's swamp, tap, target creature gets -4 until end of turn, and it's a 4/4. I have 2 of those because they're cheap. I mean, they're not cheap to level, but so what? Heirs of Stromkirk, sorry, I'll be able to English someday. 2 mountains and a 2. Intimidate. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it's a 2/2. And I have 2 of them! Oh my god! Anyway. Cobbled Wings, it costs 2. Equipped creature has flying, and you equip by paying 1. Woohoo! Yeah, always need flying, and I only have 1 of those. Mask of Avacyn. Someday I'll be able to English. It costs 2, and equipped creature gets +1/+2 and has hexproof. Equip 3. Oops, sorry. Underworld Dreams costs 3 swamps. Whenever an opponent draws a card, Underworld Dreams deals 1 damage to him or her. Good card. I like stuff like that. Doomblade. Destroy target non-black creature, and it costs black and 1. And I have 2 of those. Falconwrath Exterminator, it costs mountain and 1. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Why are you unfocusing? Play a mountain and 2. It deals damage to target creature equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it. On Falconwrath, obviously. Only have 1 of those. Blood Crazed Neonate, which costs mountain and 1. It attacks each turn if able. Will you please focus? Thank you. Whenever Blood Crazed Neonate deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter in it, and it's a 2/1. Which, of course, I was limited on what I could put in here because I didn't have many vampires, which I've gotten some more, I just haven't felt like editing the deck yet. Vampiric Dragon. It costs mountain, swamp, and 6. It's a 5/5, and it has flying, and whenever a creature dealt damage by a Vampiric Dragon this turn is put into a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Mountain and 1, Vampiric Dragon deals 1 damage to target creature. Stromkirk Captain, swamp, mountain, and 1. It has first strike. Other vampire creatures you control get +1/+1 and have first strike, and it's a 2/2. Miri the Cursed, 2 swamps and 2. She has flying, first strike, and haste. Whenever Miri the Cursed deals combat damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Miri the Cursed. She's a 3/2. Drain the Well, 2 swamps or forest, and 2. Destroy target land. You gain 2 life. Pawn of Ulamog. It costs 2 swamps and 1. It's a Vampire Shaman. It's a 2/2. Whenever it or another non-token creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may put a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrifice this creature. Add 1 generic to your mana pool. Or colorless. I don't know how that works nowadays. Falconwrath Noble costs swamp and 3. Flying. Whenever Falconwrath Noble or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. And it's 2/2. Urge to Feed, 2 swamps. Target creature gets -3/-3 until end of turn. You may tap any number of untapped vampire creatures you control. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each of those vampires. I need to get more of that card. Driver of the Dead, swamp and 3. Whenever Driver of the Dead dies, return target creature card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's a 3/2. And I was thinking about Gul'Draz's Assassin with that one. Ragged Veins, swamp and 1. I like the art for this card. And I wish my camera would focus. You may play Ragged Veins anytime you could play an instant. Whenever an enchanted creature is dealt damage, its controller loses that much life. See, most of my stuff is not direct damage, really. Rakish Hair, Mountain and 2. Whenever a vampire you control deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And it is a 2/2, and my camera does not want to focus. Thank you. Quag Sickness, Swamp 2. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets -1/-1 for each swamp you control. Swamp and 1. Blood Throne Vampire. Sacrifice a creature. Blood Throne Vampire gets +2/+2 until end of turn. And it's a 1/1. Crossway Vampire. 2 mountains and 1. Whenever it enters the battlefield, target creature can't block this turn, and it's a 3/2. How many more of these do I have? Oh, plenty. Well, yeah. Well, I hope you're enjoying this so far. But there are still more cards to go through at the moment, so here we go. Nirkana Cutthroat, which it costs a swamp and 2. It's a vampire warrior. It costs swamp and 2 to level up. Levels 1 and 2, it gets Death Touch. It's a 4/3. It starts as a 3/2 though. And level 3 and plus, it gets First Strike and Death Touch at a 5/4. Well, I guess that's my hard hitter then. My powerhouse. I don't have one. Oh well. Vampire Interloper, which costs swamp and 1. It's flying and can't block, and it's a 2/1. I mean, it could be worse. Believe me, it can always be worse. Feast of Blood. It costs swamp and 1, and it cast it only if you control 2 or more vampires. Destroy target creature. You gain 4 life. Markov Patrician, which costs swamp and 2. It has lifelink, and it's a 3/1. But with all those bonus stuff, hopefully it'd be higher. You know, because +1/+1s. Vampire Outcast, 2 swamps and 2. It has Bloodthirst 2, and if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And it has lifelink, and it's a 2/2. Gatekeeper of Malakir, which costs 2 swamps. Kicker can pay another swamp. When it enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, target player sacrifices a creature, and it's a 2/2. Now, Vampire Hexmage. 2 swamps to cast. It gets First Strike, and if you sacrifice it, remove all counters from target permanent. And it's a 2/1. Contaminated Ground, which costs swamp and a generic. If it will ever focus. Enchant Land. Enchanted Land is a swamp. Whenever Enchanted Land becomes tapped, its controller loses 2 life. See, I like the little hits like that, because they will sneak up on you, and you'll be dead. Falconwrath Torturer costs swamp and 2. Sacrifice a creature. Falconwrath Torturer gains flying until end of turn, which I won't be doing, I'm not gonna lie. If the sacrificed creature was a human, put a +1/+1 counter on Falconwrath Torturer. Which I'll probably replace him because, yeah, I ain't doing that. He's a 2/1. Or at least it looks like a dude. And then here's some lands. Haunted Fingraph. Tap, add a generic to your mana pool or colorless. I get confused because now there's symbols for them. Whereas before it was just, 1, 2, 3, and I'm like, okay, which one's which again? Pay 3 and tap. Sacrifice it. Return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Akum Refuge. It enters the battlefield. Tap. When it enters the battlefield, you gain a life. Tap, add swamp or mountain to your mana pool. Which, considering that's the entire deck, I'm good. Reliquary Tower, which probably I shouldn't need, but I like it, so it's in there. You have no maximum hand size. Tap. Add 1 to your mana pool. I have that. I don't know why, because there's no reason I should have more than 7, but I guess if I get mana screwed and I somehow have that out, I'll be somewhat okay. At least I won't be losing my cards to the graveyard. But hey, if I do, I have that Elixir of Immortality. Rakdos Guildgate. It comes in the battlefield tapped, and when you tap it, you can get mountain or swamps to your mana pool. Skarg, the Rage Pits. If you tap it, you get 1 generic. Pay mountain and forest, so I should probably switch this out actually, but I haven't yet. Tap, target creature gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn, or put something that can give me forest, whatever. And now look, a swamp. Swamp, swamp, swamp. Mountain, swamp, mountain, swamp, 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 mountain. How many lions do I even have? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. This is a 60 card deck, or it might be 61 because I might have miscounted. So, what do y'all think about my deck? Is it a piece of crap? It probably is, but hey, I want to hear your thoughts on it. And also, how much land do you think should be in a deck? Do you go by the third rule? 20 lands per 60 cards? Or do you edit a bit? Or do you think I'm an idiot for editing? It can happen. I've never been mana screwed though, but the lowest I normally go on manas is maybe 17. I mean, unless it's mono-colored, then I might go like 16 or 15, depending on the cards. Maybe not. Anyway, that's been my vampire deck, and I want to thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye!